So you're on this quest to find what works. And that was me. I've had experiences in the past where I was on a quest to find what works. I wanted to end my suffering and thrive. So that's a lot of it. In the past, when I had done traditional therapy, it just wasn't cutting it for me. And so as I got to a point in my life, I have 5 kids, and I was a stay-at-home mom for some of that. When my youngest was growing up and starting school, I said, you know what, it's time for me to find my thing. And so I put it out there in the universe, kind of asked God, asked the universe, hey, what's my purpose? Like, help me find something really meaningful that works for people, that I can do to help people. And so the next thing I knew, I was looking into hypnotism. I still don't quite understand why I got that into my head as a possibility, other than maybe the universe put the thought there.
Welcome to the Super Clinic Project Podcast, where we take regular clinic owners and turn them into cash-based multimillionaire entrepreneurs. Warning, if you're a doctor who listens to this podcast regularly, you will make millions of dollars. Do not listen to this podcast unless you want to be a successful clinic owner who helps thousands of patients achieve their health goals and adds more money than you can imagine to your bank account. You've been warned.
Welcome to the Super Clinic Project Podcast, where we take regular clinic owners and we turn them into super clinic owners. I'm one of your hosts, Jennifer Gligoric, and today you're going to be here with me and our guest, a highly acclaimed speaker, best-selling author, clinical hypnotist who's done thousands of one-on-one sessions. She excels in empowering individuals to overcome and conquer their fears so they can live their healthiest and best lives. Please, let's welcome Amy Koford to the show. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. So tell us, having a hypnotist is pretty interesting for us. So, we're mostly chiropractors, med spas, hormone replacement therapy clinics, a functional med and the rest. So that's most of and service-based owners. We have some cabinet makers and painters and people like that as well. But how did you get in to just being excited about the power of the mind and hypnotism?
Past experience led me to it, and also getting to a point in my life where I was looking for what really works, as a lot of us are, and especially this podcast. I'm sure that many of you listeners out there have had the experience where you're trying things that are not working, and you get upset and you get frustrated that something's not working. So you're on this quest to find what works. And that was me. I've had experiences in the past where I was on a quest to find what works. I wanted to end my suffering and thrive. So that's a lot of it. In the past, when I had done traditional therapy, it just wasn't cutting it for me. And so as I got to a point in my life, I have 5 kids, and I was a stay-at-home mom for some of that. When my youngest was growing up and starting school, I said, you know what, it's time for me to find my thing. And so I put it out there in the universe, kind of asked God, asked the universe, hey, what's my purpose? Like, help me find something really meaningful that works for people, that I can do to help people. And so the next thing I knew, I was looking into hypnotism. I still don't quite understand why I got that into my head as possibility, other than maybe the universe put the thought there. But I started to research it, and I became very interested in it and decided, you know what, I want to become a hypnotist. And so I certified, and from there I thought, well, I don't know if anyone's going to be willing to do this. I don't know how open-minded people are, but I just went for it, and I felt really assured that this was the right thing for me to do. And to my pleasant surprise, yes, people were very willing, and I started getting clients right away with past traumas. And so that became my niche, depression and anxiety, because that's who was coming to me. Now, the nice thing is I have personal experience with depression and anxiety. So it was like a fish to water to me. I was like, oh, I know what to do. I've been through some extremely severe bouts of depression that lasted a long time, and I've come out of it. So not only can I use hypnotic techniques, but help people with my own personal experience to know, well, here's what helped me, here's what helped me. And so it's really effective because I have a number of ways that work.
Well,
So
that's fascinating. So, had you done hypnotism before and then decided, oh, this is very powerful. I want to become a hypnotist? Or did you just do research and thought, I want to be a hypnotist, and then realize the power of it? Which
yeah,
one was it?
that's
Oh,
a good
okay.
question. So what happened is I became interested, researched it, and then I said, you know what? Since I'm really interested in this, I'm going to go try it out.
Okay.
So both, right? So I researched it, then I decided to go try hypnosis for myself. So I went to a hypnotist, and from there I decided to take the plunge and become one myself. I really liked it. When I tried it out, I did a session that really helped a lot. So yeah.
That's I think so many people are worried about like losing control. They don't want to
Mhm.
lose control, or they don't want to like be made to cluck like a chicken, or so
Yep.
something weird like that. I
Yep.
actually went to a comedy show where they hypnotized the audience that it was comedy, and I was young and I volunteered and I was up there and I did what he wanted, but I was completely aware. I just decided I thought
Mhm.
it would be fun to follow along. But then later on, someone said, "Did you really think it would be fun to follow along, or was that the suggestion?" And I was like, "That freaks me out." So I don't even know.
Well, yeah. Now I actually do hypnosis shows too.
Oh, okay.
And they are a lot of fun. And so sometimes when I'm doing a speech, I'm a motivational speaker. When someone reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I want you to do this for our corporate event or this women's conference or whatever," I give them the option. I'll say, "Okay, I can do just a speech with amazing content. You have to know that I always do an audience hypnosis to benefit them. However, you also have the choice of doing that plus a show. And the show is a blast. I guarantee your audience will be laughing their heads off. And a lot of people choose the hybrid, what I call it, right? It's a hybrid between with a speech and a show. And yes, people do funny things. And one of the interesting things I want to point out, Jennifer, is think of it this way. So you know how when you were on that stage and
It
you
was a
just went along
long
with
time
it,
ago, and
because
I gotta
it
tell you, I kind
kind
of
of
barely remember. But yeah.
right. But what happens is that, yeah, people are quite aware of they're like, oh, well, it lowers those typical fears of being in front of an audience. And so what I love to say to people, and this is really powerful, is okay, you will see that when I bring people up, I can get them to do funny things that they might not normally do. But now think of it this way. What if I hypnotize someone and tell them that they can go be a millionaire and they do it because they believe that they can because I told them that? So apply it like that. What if I tell them that they're confident and they are because they believe it the same way that they believe that they can get up and sing like a famous singer, on my shows? And what if I tell them that they're fearless and they go out and be fearless and they're successful because I told them that they could and they believe it? So that's hypnosis, right? It's basically the subconscious accepting things non-critically. And so it applies with hypnotherapy and shows. So I do some really funny things in my shows, right? I'll get them cold and they're like cuddling, or I'll tell someone that their shirt is on inside out and they go and put it inside out. And but again, so that's fun, right? That's just for entertainment. It's harmless. And I always, with a show, before I pull them out of hypnosis, at the end, I always give them a lot of good stuff. I'll tell them, you are successful, you are confident, and every time that you see a clock, it reminds you to make this hour of your life better than the previous hour, kind of thing. So I give them a lot of good stuff that gets into their subconscious before I pull them out of hypnosis. So everyone that's in my show benefits, but it's just the same principle, right? Whether it's hypnotherapy or shows, hypnosis is simply Your subconscious taking it in and saying, okay. And that's powerful because we are always feeding our subconscious things. If
Yeah.
someone is self-critical, that's what that's doing to their subconscious. Now, my next book is going to be about that.
That's the hardwired to rise, right?
Yeah, well, so
Yeah.
my current book that's coming out here in just a few weeks is Hardwired to Rise. That's
Oh,
all about fear. That's all about, okay, look, we were not meant to live with this much fear. Like, this has become ridiculous. And everyone knows that. I don't even need to convince anyone that our world has way too much fear.
oh, it's
Everyone knows
constant.
that, right? It's just a given.
Mhm.
So my book is all about that. Hey, let's stop this. This is not what we were meant to live like. And fear is simply just an emotion, but it's a powerful emotion that causes most of the world's problems besides natural disasters. It
Yeah.
causes all the wars, the sexism, the racism, the violence. It causes all of it. And
Yeah.
so my book is all about, hey, let's stop it. And here's how. Here's what we do. And so it's full of things that you can do to individually conquer fear and stop letting it hold you back and cause you suffering. So, what I talk about is that there's basically two types of fears: necessary fear and unnecessary fear. Now, necessary fear is just that, right? We need it when we're in a life threatening situation, right? Like if there's legitimately something that our body needs to kick in that fight or flight, that's necessary fear. It's there for a reason. It's to keep us safe and alive. Then unnecessary fear is all the rest. It's all the fear that holds us back from thriving, that causes us a lot of suffering in the form of anxiety, stress, worry, right? All that is the suffering that it causes us, in addition to what I say, mentioned earlier, where worldwide it causes a whole lot more than just stress and worry. So it's
Yeah,
time.
I read a
Yeah.
book, I talk about this a lot. Everybody has read this book. Well, not everybody, but almost everyone has read Who Moved My Cheese because it's like a pamphlet. And one of the biggest takeaways that has been transformative for me, I still use it every day because overcoming fear for me is constant. I'm a natural worrier, right? I'm very
Mhm.
positive, but I also will worry. I'm like a positive worrier, right? And so one of the questions I ask myself is, what would I do if I were not afraid? If I were
Yeah.
not afraid, what would I do? And then I think about that and I go, okay, I would do this. And then what was the worst things that could happen for that? I'll try to catastrophize it and go, and then at the end, what are the chances that happening? Is probably going to happen? Is it going to be more positive or not? Right. And so like try to take myself through that exercise for it. But I can tell you, fear, I've worked with so many clinic owners and business owners and just service-based owners my whole career. That there are too many people who just let fear make the most important decisions of their life
Oh,
rather
yes.
than taking calculated. There is such a thing as a smart risk.
Yep.
There are smart, calculated risks that we have to take that are smart, and there are failures that are okay. There are failures we need to have had
Yeah.
because they
I
teach
talk
us
about that
lessons.
too. Yep.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree 100% with everything you just said. Yeah, there are risks that are worth it.
yeah.
And letting fear stop you, is not going to serve you.
No.
And I talk about how at the end of your life, do you honestly want to look back at your life and say, I stressed my life away? Or, like
Yeah.
that's how I lived my life, and there's nothing I can do about it now. My parents are both at the end of their lives. My dad is on hospice, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, how they look back at their life. But I can just tell you that I think it's safe to say that most of us do not want to look back at our lives and say, "Holy cow, I let fear stop me. What could I have done? I wish I would have done that thing. I wish I would have done this." And so I pose the question, don't wait. And
Yeah,
so
you
there's
don't
so
live.
much, like, every chapter has proven techniques that work. So it's not just here's information, here's words. Like do this and it will help you. I use this with clients, right?
Yeah, and you've worked with some of the world's like top hypnotists too.
Yes, I have. Yeah. Paul
Yeah.
McKenna and Marshall Silver. In fact, Marshall Silver and I are about to do some things together. So I'm going to be working very closely with him to do in-person seminars that will just change people's lives. And he's been doing these seminars for decades. So now he's going to hold my hand and do them with me. And we're going to just explode with helping people. We want to help everyone we can. So I'm really excited about that because Marshall, man, he's been so successful.
Yeah, I actually know Marshall. I had him on stage. I used to work with a big group, and we worked together. So I'm very familiar with him and his team too. Um, so let's go back to what are ways besides just reaching out to you, or do you have any tips for people what they can do? Like thinking mostly of owners, business owners, right? There is
Mhm.
that overwhelm and fear that comes to them. Are there any easy, like an easy tip you can say when you start to go, this is really stressing me out. I can't seem to get to the other end because all I can do is play that loop, you know, where you
Mhm.
just get stagnant. Because in business, stagnation is death. It really is. You
Yeah.
consistently have to be moving forward to fix something or work on something. Whenever you're like, just let it coast, that's you don't want to do that. If you want to let it coast, you need to go on vacation and empower someone else to say, innovate something before I get back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question, there's a lot. One of the things I include in the first chapter is my stress eliminator. And the stress eliminator is designed to get you to have your mind think differently about it. It's challenging your mind to look at it differently. And I use it all the time. In fact, I've had some really stressful things the last week or two with my parents and different things. And I use it. Be like going through the steps of it. Okay, yep. And so I don't want to reveal all the things in that, but I would say, yeah, the one of the things that I bring up is what is on the other side of fear for you? Kind of like you were saying. Or if you chose to only look at this optimistically, how would you think about it and feel about it? You know, if you only, and it's a hypothetical, right? It's not saying only be optimistic. It's saying,
Yeah.
what if you were? How would you feel about this? Would you be stressed? A lot of stress is about the future, even if it's 5 minutes in the future. How does this impact me, right? What is this doing to my today, tomorrow kind of thing? What if, right? What happens? And so a lot of dealing with those kind of things is realizing that the future does work out.
Yeah, one
That
way or the
one
other, it
thing,
works out.
right? So one of the things I would say is trust the future. Everything is always working out for you. Even if it doesn't seem like it, it is. Everything is always working out for you, especially if you let it.
Mm,
You know,
that's a
a,
good one.
a lot of times we can not let it. But if we have a level of trust that, yeah, so one of the things that I would say is look back at your past. Have you in your lifetime had things that worked out when you didn't think that they would at the time that you were in the heat of it and stressing about it? Did things work out? And oftentimes things work out better than what we think they will. I know I've had those experiences where I was going through some very, very difficult experiences, life challenges, thinking, I don't see how this could ever work out. And then in the future, it worked out better than what I thought it would or could. And so I use that too. Like, look back at times. If it's worked out in the past, you can trust that things can and will again. And even if we go through some uncomfortable emotions getting there, that's okay. We're learning, we're growing. So yeah, I bring up a lot. I mean, honestly, I'm really proud of my book. I keep thinking it's going to come out any second. And then the publisher, okay, we got to do another round of proofreading.
No,
Like,
that is how
Jesus,
that thing
please
is.
have this done. So last night I got another, okay, here's another proofread. I'm like, oh my goodness, I just want to get this out. So I'm really excited, but we are at the very final stages. It's honestly just weeks away. And I'm so excited for the world to have this book because I poured my soul into this. I used a lot of like all that I use with clients, but also just intuition and everything that I've learned works. My hypnotist colleagues and just other therapists, all the books. I've read a lot of self-help books. So gaining, putting all the things together into one book. I know it will help people.
Yeah, I wish people would write more books. There are many of the clinic owners that we work with, and I think you should write a book about that. You should write a journey about that. How people need it. The people who get through pain, what do they do for that? I mean,
Yeah.
there's not enough of this. That's why I love podcasts because we can get to great conversations with people and really talk to people and find out what's going on because it's a similar journey. So even if you're
Yeah.
sitting there and you're a clinic owner in your functional medicine office, think about, it's the same journey when you think about everything that Amy's talking about. You start your own business, you want to help people, you want to do different things, you want to pour your heart into it, different ways. Like, is this book going to be a vehicle to get more people to understand her? We're all doing that as business owners on the business end,
Yeah.
not just in what you're doing, but in this is you as a business owner saying, yeah, these are the things that I've got to think about. I've got to think about, marketing. I've got to think about fulfillment. Am I
Hmm.
fulfilling well with the people? Are they getting good outcomes? Am I getting good testimonials? That's very important because you have to have social proof, but constantly moving forward. So if you're listening to this, think about this journey. She's not like, well, I did this one thing and now this is the thing that I do. It's right.
Oh no,
No, it
it's
is
been a
consistent.
journey.
Yeah, it is. And it
Yes.
never stops, though. You've got to learn, that old adage, you've got to learn how to just enjoy the journey. I think
Mhm.
that is one of the biggest things because we're always trying to get to these hills, right? But yet there's
Yeah.
another bigger one and there's another one. And you still have to enjoy it, the journey when you're
Yeah.
there, celebrate when you get to that hill, and
Yep.
then enjoy the journey to go to the other one, right?
Yep.
You never get to, you don't want to. I don't know. There's a lot of people who just want to stop because they're burnt out, but because they're probably on the wrong journey to the wrong hill. And I
Well,
think
and I
that's
agree with
real.
you. And you know what? I don't have to reach high heights if that's not their ambition.
Right.
Maybe they're just okay with doing what works for them and they don't want to keep, but for those of us like me, like I just started out with doing one-on-one sessions for $25.
Oh my goodness.
And then, I moved up to doing more as I got more clients. I raised the prices again and again, right? Because I got better. I wasn't just thinking, oh, okay, I did my certification, I'm good. No way. In fact, it was the opposite. Some of my very first clients came to me with huge traumas, like major traumas. I was brand new at it and it worked. Even though I was a newbie, it was working, but it encouraged me to say, okay, whoa, I want to be so much better at this. In fact, I want to be one of the best hypnotists in the world. How do I do that? So this is just me and my personality, right? So then I'm like researching and going to conferences around the world and all over the country and listening to more books and going to more training, more training, more training all the time because I wanted to get really good at it so that when people come to me, they get the results that they want. And then I stumbled across Marshall, and he's been incredibly successful as a hypnotist. And so it's been a huge journey. Now here I am. I've written a book. Now I'm doing these huge seminars that are going to help so many people, and I've done motivational speaking. And so, yeah, I never envisioned that when I first started out.
Yeah.
So sometimes we're just content to just do. I just thought I would do one-on-one sessions for my whole life.
Well,
I was
yeah,
like, okay, here we go. I'm going to do Monday through Friday one-on-one sessions all day.
and
And
I'll be
I
happy.
did that for a while, but then I discovered that there's more. So just, yeah, like you say, enjoy the journey, and then things do open up and you can choose if it's right for you or not. I mean, I have 5 kids, and I'm down to 2 teenagers. My other 3 are raised, but it's still a lot of work.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm in my 50s and I still call my mother several times a week. So
Yeah.
it's not like they're
Yeah.
gone. They're still calling you because I know I still call her and I get her advice or I want to talk
Oh,
to her.
yeah.
Yeah, you're
And I'm
still
still
involved.
like
Yeah.
spending time with them, helping them. We go on trips because I want to spend time with them. And now that I'm at the tail end of mothering, raising my kids, I am more focused on being with them than ever. I mean, I always was. I've always loved spending time with my kids, but now I'm clinging to every second because it is just flying away. They are growing up so fast. And so
I have a son
I'm
going off to
balancing that.
college, so I get
What's
it.
that?
My baby is going off to college now, and literally next
Yeah.
month that we do it. And I gotta tell you, I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
now what? There's a whole other chapter. Now what? In fact, when I
Yeah.
went to his orientation, I had a panic driving there with my best friend. And I start realizing that, okay, now there's going to be different time in my day. Now what? I still need there's
Yeah.
other things to do. And I got to figure that out. So I'm right now trying to figure out my now what and how is
Yeah.
that going to change how I support him and what we're doing. And yeah, it's a deal. It's just
It
life is
is.
interesting how it changes and morphs. And it's not that you'll never be mothering, it's just different. It's a different type of mothering. And then there
Right.
comes the grandmothering, and then there comes all the other things, you
Yeah.
know.
And I know I'll always be their mom, but they just go off and fly the coop. And I dread that. I'm not looking forward to the empty nest. I love spending time with my kids so much. So that's why I'm like literally just clinging. Like this summer, last summer I was gone more than I wanted to be. And I said, okay, you guys, this summer, I promise I'm not going to leave you. I'm just going to be with you guys the whole summer. And so I've gone to a couple of conferences. I just take them with.
That's good though. That's good. Then they can see what mom does and they're like, "Wow,
Right.
this is great or this is nuts or this is whatever." But at least you get
Yep,
that time together.
exactly. I just said, I'm not going to leave you guys. I've only got a few summers left, and dang it, I'm going to make the most of it. And I've always been that way. Last summer was just an unusual summer. Normally, every summer, I'm trying to spend every minute with them that I can. And so, anyway, yeah. So I think that, yeah, enjoy the journey. Change is part of life, and change can be hard. Change can be exciting, but change will happen whether you want it to or not.
Speaking of change and the transformations that happen, we're almost at the end here, but can you tell us like of a client story that you thought was really amazing about the transformation that they took and it just through hypnosis and how you were able to help them, go through whatever change they needed to go through?
Yeah, of course. I have lots of stories. I have a lot of stories about people that stopped smoking in one session.
Wow.
I also have a lot of stories about, yeah, depression and anxiety. Man, I could go on for days. As far as one that I feel like is fun to share, I've got so many, so let me just pick one. I've had, let me quickly, as a side note, mention I know that you have people that are healers, and we all know that you can heal yourself with the power of the mind. We know people. When I was a teenager, I bring this up in my book. A guy came to speak to us who had been paralyzed that healed himself with the power of his mind, and that was decades ago. But yeah, so I've seen people's migraines go away with hypnosis when we don't even work on that. we're working on their past traumas and they heal. Rashes go away when we're just working on their stress and depression and anxiety. As those go away, as those heal, there is physical healing that takes place. And that's not even what we're doing, but it's just a natural side effect. So yeah, as far as a story, would you prefer one about like healing or just depression and anxiety? I've got plenty.
Let's talk about anxiety because I know that we have a lot of people that are anxious that I
Mm.
work with the the worry and the fear. I've got employees now. I got to take care of them, and am I going to make the right decisions in business, and different things like that.
Oh, for sure. And I do get business owners that come to me that
Mm,
are, yeah, I'm scared about this thing and that thing with business.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean just one particular client that was incredibly negative, right? Struggling with anxiety so much. And this client, she didn't realize that the anxiety was from deep-seated fears, and those deep-seated fears were from the past. Now, as I share this story, just know that this is most clients. This is why I wrote a book about fear. What I learned is that most of the root problem with depression and anxiety is fear. It's deep. It's way down there, and you don't even recognize that that's what's really the problem. One of the things that comes up in my book is what is the real fear that we have? And so with this particular client, she was really in a bad place. And that's a lot of clients. They're suicidal or just in such a bad place. And so this particular client, she was kind of resistant. Earlier we addressed a little bit of the misunderstandings about hypnosis. One of them is losing control. And so I have to let people know, look, just let it in. I'm only here to help you. There's no reason to resist. You can resist, but that's not why you're here. You want to be healed, right? Like you genuinely want this. So just trust the process. I'm only going to help you. So, yes, with this client, she was kind of resisting. And the reason is because fear served as a security blanket. And that's what a lot of it is with people. They see that it's keeping me safe and peaceful, which it's not. It's doing the opposite. So with this client, I had to get really firm, say, while she was in hypnosis, do you want to get well? Yes. Okay. You have to let this go then, because she was resisting and resisting, right? But if I let go of fear, then what's going to happen? So after a lot of just getting stern and saying, unconscious, let this, you've got to release these fears. And so it actually took a couple of sessions for her to finally do that. And I'll tell you, it completely changed her. And she did heal, right, sleeping better, healthier, more vibrant. But yes, like the transformation was extreme, where she had been so down, so depressed, filled with anxiety. And as I got her unconscious mind to let that go, she's a completely different person now. Happy, thriving, healthy, more energy, just in every way. And her story basically summarizes and encapsulates so many of my clients, where sometimes the unconscious can get stubborn. And so, because the unconscious has a job to keep us alive and safe. And that's both good and not, right? Because when it's not good, it's because the subconscious is saying, yeah, but fear keeps her safe or whatever. So I get really firm with the unconscious and say, you will let this go for this
That's
client. You have
amazing.
to understand that this is for the client's best.
So for anyone listening, we've been talking to Amy Koford. Amy, how can they find you and how can they find out more about you if they're interested in it, or even if some clinic owners like I know some patients that might really benefit from some hypnosis because they're not listening to me and I know this is what they got to do.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, amykoford.com, AMYKO Ford.com. And I've got a free gift for you on there, my happiness guide. What I've learned really makes people happier. You use my happiness guide, you will feel so much better. I promise you. if you use it. So that's a free product for you. I've also got a stand store where you can get audios and things. Now, my stand store is everything on there is to empower you. So that's stan.store/the happy hypnotist. And yeah, so either way, amykoford.com will give you all kinds of resources, and you can reach out to me that way. You can also follow me on any social media, either under Amy Koford or Amy the Happy Hypnotist.
And for guys listening, if you are driving, just go to superclinicproject.com and click on our free school. We'll have everything there on all of our episodes. We have all the links anyway. If you're following us on Apple or Spotify or YouTube or wherever you're following us, we typically have all these links for you too. So we'll make sure that you can get straight to Amy so you too can have release fear, release your anxiety, and live a happy life. Now, be sure to like, follow, share, and give us a 5-star review. It's how we get amazing, world-class people like Amy on our show. Thank you, Amy, for being here.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
All of you listening, I want you to know, every one of you listening, you are amazing. You are a miracle. Every one of you, you're powerful, you're strong. Just know that you have greatness within you.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody. Have a super
All right.
week.
Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to the Super Clinic Project podcast. If you like what you hear, subscribe and stay tuned for further episodes of the Super Clinic Project podcast.